Welcome, everybody, to another episode of OG55 Live. I got the Italiano with me at an undisclosed location out here in California. We are taking all your questions. We are also going to make a big announcement later on in the show, so make sure you stick around for that. OG Italiano up next on OG55 Live. What's poppin', everybody? How are you all doing this evening? Another fantastic Sunday night here with the Italiano and all of you. Thank you for joining us on this OG55 Live. Like I said, we do have a big announcement. It's a personal announcement, but it's a big announcement nonetheless. So that's coming up in a little bit. We're going to take some questions first, and then we'll dive into the big announcement. So make sure you stick around for that. But before we dive into our Q&A, the Italiano, welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me back on. And yes, it's just another great Sunday evening, joining the OG55 Live with everyone in the chat. And it's going to be a great show. And yeah, can't wait to do this thing.
Let's do the damn thing. So we got Mr. Webba in the house. Oh, yeah, there it is. Sorry. It didn't show up on my end. I'm like, wait, what? Mr. Webba here says, hey, George, you got any cake for me? You got any
cake? I'm the one that likes to get the cake, Ebba.
George likes to have his cake and eat it too, right, George? You're a big cake guy. But, speaking of cake, I actually been wanting to share this for a while. So I thought this is a perfect time. Ebba, you are the king of the segue, and I do appreciate it. But this is a fantastic Instagram clip. I'm going to play this. It is related to cake, so let's go ahead and have a good laugh. Here we go.
Bigger.
Mickey, what are you doing?
Bigger.
Mickey, stop.
Bigger.
You have to stop this. You have to stop.
Bigger.
Oh boy, that's it. Mama Ratchet, make me clutch it. Oh God.
Oh man, I just I just had to do it. I've been sitting on that thing. No pun intended, sitting on that thing. I've been sitting on that for months, and I absolutely love it. But George, was that your first time seeing that?
No, I've seen that before. I absolutely love that. When I first saw that, I thought, oh my God, that thing is so hilarious. Plus, I think that guy also does some other funny, raunchy stuff with Mickey as well.
Yeah, he does. His whole account is like dedicated to that. It's pretty hilarious. Yeah. We got Mr. Matthew Murr all the way from the UK with not just one super chat, but two super chats, which total 20 euros. Very, very generous of you, Matthew. We do appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. I did get your DMs, Matthew. I will get back to you. I did not forget you. I will definitely shoot you a DM. We've just been really, really busy over here at OG55 Manor. But I will definitely get back to you. I do apologize. Matthew Murr says, Josh from Story Geeks. Shout out to Josh, by the way. Got to hang out with him for a little bit at the Q&A in Orange County for Jay Shear's short film screening that I was hosting last weekend. And Josh is a great guy, friend of the channel, Mr. Modern Mouse. Says here, Josh from Story Geeks actually gave his own revealing take on Disney 100. He thinks Disney should have just downplayed it by letting Once Upon a Studio stand as a centerpiece and keep marketing for any feature film low key. Do you think that strategy could have worked? And more importantly, do you just generally think even the best full-length feature could have suffered the same fate as Wish? No, I don't think even the best feature would have suffered the same fate as Wish. I think from what I'm hearing, now to be fair, I haven't seen Wish, so I'm not going to say it's a great movie. I'm not going to say it's a shit movie. I haven't seen it. I can't make a judgment call on it. But from what I've heard, it was good. Good, right? Medium to good, okay? The problem with Wish, and George, you were absolutely spot on with this, was a lot of the marketing for Wish was off, where they were hyping this thing up. 100 years in the making. From the people that brought you Snow White, The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, every cinematic masterpiece on the planet has led up to this one moment, That hurt Wish. Okay, and it was kind of mid to good, right? But if you would have had a movie, let's say like a Beauty and the Beast premiere that same year, it would not have suffered the same fate as Wish. I think if you had a stronger film, it would have been fine. Go ahead, George.
And I also think that suffered why am I blanking on her name? The former person who ran Disney Animation.
Jennifer Lee.
Yeah. I think that ended up hurting her kind of her reputation in a sense as the person in control of Disney Animation, because she was also the one that also kind of led up with Wish and kind of built this up as, okay, this is a grandiose kind of film. And I think how we kind of said about how Pixar was going down the road, you know, Inside Out 2 was a major blunder, which obviously it is not. That might have hurt Pete Docter's chances of staying. So even though she stepped down to focus on Frozen 3 and 4, I think honestly from Wish not doing so well and the hype that she put that in, I think that was kind of like a low key kind of thing. I'm going to step down before I get released, sort of thing.
Could be. Absolutely could be. But speaking of Jennifer Lee and animation, we have another question all about the studio saying here, Trip Johnson. Good to see you, Trip, as always. Hey, gang, what's your best film of the year? Okay, so Trip, full disclosure, I haven't seen that many movies this year. I saw Alien Romulus, Gladiator 2, and Inside Out 2. Everything else is on my list. No,
that's three more than what you usually have.
Right, exactly. That's pretty good for me. So out of those 3 movies that I saw, so between Gladiator 2, Alien, and Inside Out 2, Inside Out 2 is my favorite. I fell in love with that movie. Now, I do suffer from anxiety. I make no bones about it. But here's the thing. I do suffer from anxiety, but I'm not a victim of anxiety. I don't let my anxiety stop me from doing shit. I just power through it and just have the heart attack while I'm having fun. So it's great. It works out. No, but in all seriousness, though, Inside Out 2 is a fantastic movie. Loved it. I thought it had a beautiful message. Very, very well done. That's my favorite. Now, recently I did see Gladiator 2. While not my favorite of the year, a really good movie as well. And I highly recommend it. It was fantastic. Go ahead, George.
I actually agree with you. My number one for this year is Inside Out 2. A very close second would be Wicked. I absolutely love that movie. Unlike Ebba, I do like musicals. You know, I do enjoy a good, but it has to be a good one. Like I love both West Side Stories, the older one, the original, and the newer one. I enjoy The Greatest Showman, Hairspray, Grease, you know, all that. So Wicked, I have seen the Broadway show about 15 years ago. So I love how it was adapted on screen. I'm looking forward to part 2 for the conclusion of it. But also for 3, like my top 3 would be Inside Out 2, Wicked, and then kind of tied for number 3 would be Moana 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine.
There we go. I haven't seen those movies, but I'm sure they would have scored high for me if I would have seen them because I've heard nothing but good things. Now we have Abby in the house. I think you know her, George. You might maybe sort of.
I think I do. Yeah.
I think you know Abby, but OG has so many movies on his list. I do, Abby. I got movies and shows. Our boy Tones. I still haven't seen House of Dragon season 2. You know, I got to get on that. I really want to see it too. I'm excited for it, but I just haven't gotten around to it, and I really want to chop it up with Tones about that. That's like his thing, you know, Game of Thrones, but I just haven't done it yet. I got to jump on the bandwagon and get to seeing some of this stuff. Mr. Seymour Duck, it is always an honor, sir, having you in the chat. We love you, Mr. Duck. We absolutely love you. Moana 2 crosses over the 700 million mark. Let's go. Collapse my ass. Yeah, exactly.
Like
clapping those cheeks, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, this movie is doing absolutely fantastic. Disney has no reason to cry or be upset or be disappointed. They are absolutely happy with how Moana, how far it's going. Exactly. And how far it'll go. Yeah. But George, what do you think about the performance so far?
Oh yeah, I think it's pretty much what all we were anticipating with Moana 2. We knew it was going to do gangbusters. I think it's safe to say it will hit the it will hit the $1 billion mark for the $1 billion club, so to speak, and possibly even beyond. And I still feel like in time there's going to be a second sequel to Moana. Jared Bush, who I actually participated in his Q&A on X, said that her journey is not yet over. So we shall see.
We shall see. And Cassandra in the house, just make it clap. Absolutely, just make it clap. Clapping those cheeks or those peaches, whatever you prefer, whatever you prefer to
or
say.
as Memphis calling it, clapping duck ass.
There you go, clapping Seymour's little duck ass. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, I lost my spot now. Hold on one sec, everybody. Give me just a moment. Mr. Sam Chat, thank you so much for becoming a member. Everybody, if you become a member on OG55, you'll get content early. A lot of the stuff that we release, we actually release it early, like a day or so earlier for members. Exclusive content that's only for members and will only be for members, and members only live streams. We're actually going to do a members only live stream very soon. George and I were talking about that. But yeah, if you become a member, there are perks. So just keep that in mind. Sam Chat here says, considering the backlash surrounding the removal of Muppet Vision, do you think Disney will keep it and move it where Rock and Roller Coaster is? What do you think about that theory, George? Do you think that might work or not so much?
Well, I think yes and no. I feel like if Disney were to think outside of the box in a clever way, I would still change Rock and Roller Coaster to the Muppets, like Muppet with the Electric Mayhem. But the theater that is going to be holding the Villains show that's taken the place of the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy, sooner or later, that villain show is going to leave. That's only a temporary show until the villains open up in Magic Kingdom. And it's a perfectly good theater that they can possibly transition the Muppet Vision over from Muppet Courtyard over to, so that way you have a Muppet show and a Muppet attraction. That could become its own Muppet Courtyard over there.
It's possible. It's possible. We'll see how they kind of work that out, because from what I understand, they haven't really decided yet on the fate of Muppet Vision. I mean, it's going to be around. Jim Henson Studio said, you know, there's more to this, and we're going to look for a new home. We just don't know what that new home is. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just throw it on Disney Plus. You know, we'll see how they kind of handle that. Lovelo, and it's good to see you, Lovelo. We haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see Lovelo back in the chat. Absolutely. OG looks like he's about to hit the Kessel Run in 9 parsecs. Oh yeah, you know what? Absolutely. There we go. Absolutely. Let me see here. We got Lovelo again. Are you guys into cosplay? Okay, not me personally, but I do follow a lot of Japanese cosplay accounts. I was actually trying to find one for you before the show, Lovelo, but I'll have to. Well, maybe we'll do a video on it. We can kind of go through the cosplay because there's so much. But I follow like 5 or 6 of these accounts. They're based out of Japan, Japanese Disney accounts, you know what I'm saying? And these guys and gals will go to Disney like every Halloween and stuff, like dressed like crazy good. One of my favorites is this girl and her boyfriend. They went as Lady and the Tramp. It's the most amazing like cosplay I've ever seen. She incorporated her hair into the dog ears for Lady. I'm serious. It is absolutely mind blowing. So George and I might do a show on cosplay. We can kind of break all that down because there's a lot there. But yeah, I don't do it personally, but I actually do enjoy it when other people do it, and I'll check it out and kind of see. But what about you, George? You into cosplay?
Depends on if it's inside or outside the bedroom.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're inside the bedroom kind of guy with the cosplay.
No, not really. I once in a while, like Abby and I were talking about like maybe dressing up for next year for Oogie Boogie. Like I think if it was like something like kind of like matching, like for like Halloween, just or like a Halloween party or kind of, you know, once in a while, but you know, just to do it or and I think that's what kind of hurt Galaxy's Edge, because they kind of turned it, they wanted it to be kind of like this play on adventure thing where it's like you dress up. It's like, I don't care about that. I just want to go into a theme park, be immersive, ride the rides. Like I don't want to have to follow a storyline to be into a theme park. Like,
yeah, I know. You don't want to live your own adventure, George. Live your own Star Wars adventure.
Yeah,
I'm living my own Star Wars adventure in this jacket, bro. You know what I'm saying? You gotta live yours, bro. Suave CLT here says, I've only seen 2 movies this year, Deadpool and Wild Robot. I heard both of those are really good. Wild
I
Robot.
forgot about the Wild Robot.
Yeah, I heard that's a beautiful movie. Any other 2024 movie recommendations? It doesn't have to be Disney. Okay, so Suave, I've only seen 3 movies this year. I've seen Gladiator 2, Alien Romulus, and Inside Out 2. I would recommend all 3 of those, actually. 3 for 3. I think all of those were really, really good. Inside Out 2 was my favorite. 100% my favorite. I think Gladiator 2 is probably my second favorite. But Alien isn't too far behind. So those 3 movies, I think you would like. But Inside Out 2, definitely. I think you would really, really like that movie. There's a great message, really entertaining. Just like, it felt like classic Pixar. What say you, Italiano?
I definitely agree with those films on top of Deadpool and Wild Robot. And then I'll also add in Wicked and Moana 2 as well.
Okay. And Mr. Webber here, Transformers 1 was also really good. I've heard that. I've heard it's very, very good. And Albert Rodriguez, Terrifier 3. There we go. We got some recommendations for you.
I've seen the trailer for Terrifier 3. I actually did a review on I think it was Bad, well, with Candid and Tones. I don't think it was on Bad Thoughts. It was on Candid's channel where we reviewed the trailer for it. It actually looked quite interesting. And for it being like an indie horror kind of film, it actually did very well at the box office.
Yeah, absolutely. And our boy Slimer is in the house. What's up, Slimer? It is always good to see you. We got to get Slimer back on the channel again. Always a good time seeing you, brother. J Brad, we're actually got J Brad coming on the channel very, very soon. So look out for a video with J Brad very, very, very soon. I saw Megalopolis in IMAX, and it was easily my top movie going experience of the year. There was a scene where Adam Driver on screen interacts with a live actor playing an audience member. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, okay. That's funny. That's what Abby calls me, Megalopolis in IMAX.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Slimer, name your top 3 goals for 2025 and one way you plan on raising the bar. Oh, that's an interesting one, dude. This is a tough one, Slimer. This is a tough one. My top 3 goals are, well, actually, one of my goals actually for 2024 was to quit alcohol, and I did that successfully. I'm now 7 months in, no alcohol. The stuff that you see is actually non-alcoholic beer because I like the taste, but I don't want alcohol. So quitting alcohol, I'm going to try to hit the gym and work out more. That is something that I do want to do. Maybe not even the gym, just work out at home even with some equipment or like dumbbells and stuff. I do want to start doing that more. Just trying to get healthier. I think that's a big thing for me. You know what I'm saying? Not getting any younger. I want to step up my health game. I'm also going to put myself out there on the market again. I've been single now for like a year. So I'm going to put myself back on the market again. I've just been kind of like doing whatever, but that's definitely something that I'm probably going to do in 2025. And raising the bar, just, you know what? I mean, in terms of the channel, we're going to try to get a lot of new guests on the channel. We're going to try to like just kind of basically with the channel, I love to bring new voices into the mix, right? Like we don't have to do anything fancy. We don't need to do any new format changes or anything crazy like that. Just the people that you bring into the mix changes the content, right? So you bring a new person in, it changes all the content because that person brings their own perspective and their fingerprint onto the content. So I want to really bring a lot more newbies on into the channel and talk shop with them, whether it be Disney stuff, whether it be non-Disney stuff. That's something that I want to do to raise the bar, because I think when you bring more perspectives and that diversity of opinion into the mix, I think that keeps things interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me, Slimer. That's kind of where I'm at. Where's your head at, George?
For me, I'm going to kind of go off of what you were mentioning about the channel. I would like to start thinking about like newer ways to bring more content to the channel, possibly do, and I know how I mentioned this, but I'm trying to figure out a way of how to go about doing it, of like adding content, of recording certain specific things in the parks and bringing it to the channel. Not necessarily vlogging, not like in that sort of format, but just come up with different ideas and plans to just record like little videos and then do it for our members, to kind of bulk up the membership as well, because that was also a goal. I do have some other personal goals.
Actually, I was going to say, this is actually
the perfect segue.
Yeah, Slimer actually set up, because we announced at the beginning of the show that we do have a personal announcement. Yes. George and I are getting married. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was fucking with y'all. I'm not. No. We do have a personal announcement. Actually, George does. So, George, since it does tie into Slimer's question, what did you want to announce?
So, my announcement, folks, and actually this is part of like kind of the goal of 2025, but this is actually going to happen like right before 2025. I will, starting December 29th, I will officially become a Californian, if you will.
Hi, Monster on the beat, ho.
There he is, Mr. West Coast. So you are coming to Cali. You said what, the 29th?
29th, yep. After 34 years of being Mr. East Coast Italiano.
Yes.
I never left the East Coast.
So you're going to see more of the Italiano from that location. You're moving in with your lovely girl, Abby.
Yes.
And so Abby and George will be living together starting off the new year. That's why, Slimer, your question was actually perfect.
Yep. Because
starting off the new year, it's a new year and a new George.
Yes.
So are you excited?
Oh, very excited. Yes. I can't wait. And actually, we will be spending the New Year's Eve at Universal for their Eve event. It's included with our platinum passes. So if anyone is at Universal during for New Year's Eve, Abby and I will definitely be there.
Yep. And I will be too, actually, with you guys.
Yes, you will be too.
But I won't be drinking alcohol. Yep. That's the one thing that sucks about not drinking alcohol.
Here's the other thing too. I don't think I will be either. I might have like just one drink just for the sake of like bringing in the new year. But I'm one that I don't like to get like sloppy drunk or where I can't remember or feel sick. You know, I could definitely have fun not being drunk. Because for all of you who know my personality, I'm like a sober drunk.
Yeah. No, yeah. I actually have a great time when I'm drunk. I gotta be honest with you. I'm a fun ass guy when I'm drunk. I'm very happy, very social, very funny. But you know, it's just not the healthiest of things to do. So I've quit. Remy D here says, and congratulations to Italiano and Abby. So everybody in the chat, wish these two lovebirds a very happy congratulations. Remy D here says, how about bringing contrarian voices? Yeah, I'm down to bring on. Here's the thing, Remy. I have always said on this channel that we want a variety. I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want to be everyone is like has the same opinion as OG, you know, or whatever. I want a variety of opinion on the channel. And we have had that before. George and I don't agree on everything. I don't agree with Ebba on everything. I don't agree with Slimer on everything. We have different opinions, but I am 1000% open to having other people come in, even having a debate, bringing someone on and let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's debate it, you know, like obviously civil and friendly, but like, I'm down for that. You know, that's exciting. That's fun. That makes conversations, I think, a lot more interesting when there is a different perspective than just, you know, everyone on the panel agreeing. And it happens across, you see this on YouTube. It's not just pixie dusters. You have the other side of the equation where the more like Disney is bad, you know, crowd. There's not a whole lot of mix either there, right? I think as content creators, we should have a better mix of opinions, you know? Hey, if you lean more positive, have a couple people on there that might be a little more negative. You're more negative toward Disney, have a couple people on there that are a little more positive. Mix it up a little bit, little spice. But what do you say about that, Mr. Italiano?
I do. Yes, I do agree with that. I think that, you know, variety is a spice of life. However, I am also a person that does believe in there's also people out there that are toxicity. so to speak,
Oh yeah,
in their
100%.
thing. So it definitely plays into where, you know, if the other person is open-minded to have a civilized debate rather
Thank you.
than just
Exactly. Just because you bring on other opinions doesn't mean you just bring on anybody. You know, you have to bring someone that's willing to have a civil conversation, who can handle that kind of environment where you can disagree and still be friendly. So yeah, absolutely. Trey Porter, friend of the channel since the early days of OG55. Trey, we love you. Good evening to you as well. It's always good to see you. Always good to see you. Albert Rodriguez, do you ever see Universal opening up another major theme park in the US, considering all the expansions? I would really love one here in Texas, not just a small kiddie park. You know what, Albert? I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know how long you've been watching OG55, but a couple of years ago when they announced that kiddie park, I said they should have just built another Epic Universe or a park like that. In that park, they could have added elements for kids, but I think that would have been a smarter move. And the reason being is because the kiddie park looks a little cheap to me, bro. I got to be honest. It looks a little cheap. And this is going to be the people of Texas, a lot of people in that area, this is going to be their first taste of the Universal theme park experience. And that first taste is going to be kind of mid, you know what I'm saying? So I personally would have built an Epic Universe or a full-fledged Universal Resort in Texas as opposed to just the kiddie park. Okay. So I agree with you, but I will say this. It's not too late. Okay. They can still do that. I don't know how much land they have in this particular area, Frisco, Texas, but man, yeah, I agree. Exactly. No more brunches in Malibu. I'm officially revoked. But maybe they can find somewhere else in Texas if they don't have the land by the kid park to do a proper park for everybody in the entire family. I would absolutely love that. Texas is kind of the sweet spot because it's kind of right in between the California park and the Florida park, and the weather is pretty good in Texas. I don't really know where else in the country that you would really build it other than Texas. I mean, that just makes the most sense. So yeah, I would be all on board with them building another one, but a park for everyone in Texas. But yeah, thank you for joining us, sir. What about you, George?
Yeah, I think Texas would be the only other logical state. I think it would be in more of Universal's best interest for that rather than it be like a Disney park, because I feel like when you're this close to Disneyland, you know, a state or two over, it's like, why go over that to Texas when you could just go right over to California, you know? But for Universal, being that, yeah, the original Universal Studios Hollywood is over here in California, but they're very short on limited room than because it's still a working movie studio. It's not just a theme park. I think that would work really well in Texas than just having a kiddie park. I think they wasted time, space, and money on that one.
Yeah, and George and I, we were at Universal Studios Hollywood. So despite the rumors, we do not hate Universal, or, you know, even though we're critical of them, we love Universal. We were literally just there like a few hours ago, but like we just got back, literally, you know, and it's a great park. Actually, we saw some of the progress for the Fast and Furious coaster over there, which looks absolutely insane. I'm not going to go on that thing, but for coaster enthusiasts, this coaster is going to be absolutely bananas. Absolutely bananas. George, you're going to go on it. But
I'll definitely go on it for sure.
Yeah, but it looks great.
She was going to try it. She always likes to try something once. She can go either way with a roller coaster. Sometimes she can enjoy it. Sometimes it may not make her feel so good. But I thought it was kind of funny that we were also at Universal, Abby and I, with Wizard a few nights ago, and he was doing some coverage on it, and he was saying it, and it's a roller coaster I will not be going on. And I said, wait a minute, you've been covering this thing since the first layer of dirt has been lifted, and you're not going to even go on it once? He's like, nope. He's like, you're going to be the guinea pig.
Oh, that's funny. Wizard is a great kid, great guy, really, really great guy. He's in Florida right now. I'm excited for him. Yeah. He's checking out the Universal parks. But Shane Narani here says, I'm sure you'll miss those Pittsburgh winters, George.
Oh yeah, like I'm so heartbroken over it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, bro. At least out here in California, if you want the snow, you can drive to it. You can go to Big Bear. Yeah. You can go to Mountain High. You know what I'm saying? You can drive to it. You don't need to live in it, you know?
Exactly.
Brian here says, this is a great question. Did you see the new Poly previews? I did. Why does disrespecting Walt's vision only matter for certain things for some people, but not for others? What do you say about that, George?
I think it's one's to own perspective of like what defines as like disrespecting Walt, or this is something that Walt would disagree upon, or what have you. Technically, one way or the other, whether you think that Walt would approve or disapprove, no one can ever really say unless it was Walt himself that would say it. You're speaking about a person who was born in 1901, passed in 1966. Times have changed. Movements, technology, everything is just in a different way. And Walt was always about progress. So
yeah,
I can't speak for Walt, but I think honestly, he always wanted to see change. He had one foot in the past, one foot in the future. And I think that he would always want to see progression.
I agree with you. And it's impossible to go back and kind of try to figure out what he would have thought, because people aren't static. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily the same person as I was 5, 6, 10 years ago. Your perspectives, your opinions change. You hopefully you grow and you mature and you become better as you get older, right? So Walt Disney was a human being as well. If he would have kept living past 1966 and into the 80s, his perspectives and opinions on stuff was likely going to change. So we only have Walt for that little snapshot in time. We don't know how his opinions would have evolved past 1966 had he lived another 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And people seem to forget that. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. That's why I with the alcohol stuff, people say, well, Walt didn't want alcohol in the parks. Yeah, because that was at that time, Walt was living in an era where that was more of a concern. It's not as much of a concern now. Back then, you could smoke in the parks anywhere, but now you can't. See how the culture changes and the mindsets change? So
used to be able to smoke on planes.
Right, exactly. I remember as a kid, I'd go to the doctor, and I remember in the elevators to my doctor's office, they had ashtrays in the elevators in like the 80s. So times change, people's opinions change, people grow, people evolve, but Brian, you bring up some great stuff here. You said also, did you see the new Poly Tower at Walt Disney World? Yes, I did. People are hating it because it looks ugly, but it was Walt's vision to build a Poly Tower. I think it looks good. I think it looks good too. Mm-hmm. I don't have any issue with it. I think it looks fantastic. It looks really, really good.
And this kind of goes back to what I was saying before about, yes, you can have, an opposite of opinion. There could be someone that legitimately says, you know what? I respect that Walt wanted a tower, but I don't like the way that the Imagineers went with this. I would have loved to have seen this, or maybe they could have tweaked that. That's completely different than when you have someone that is just going to downplay and hate the thing without even seeing it with their own very eyes. They're just like, oh, here comes something else that they ruined. And you're already bringing in the negativity before you even have time to even make a complete observation. Trust me, I was married to one for 10 years. I know how that goes, where everything is just dark and negative all the time.
I don't understand the hate. I don't, Brian, for this thing. I really, really don't. I think it looks good. I do. And there is just some people that treat Disney like a religion almost. And it's like some of this stuff just hits them in a weird way. I don't understand that. I think that change and growth is definitely part of the Disney park experience, part of the Disney park DNA. Walt Disney set it up like that. He said, it's funny, you mentioned it, Brian, how people are very selective as to what they want to follow when it comes to Walt. But Walt also said he loved change and he loved the parks evolving, right? It's funny how no one ever wants to respect that part of Walt's wish. That part seems to be gone, right? But they like to selectively pick other things. But yeah, these things are supposed to evolve, supposed to change. The hotel looks great. I have no issue with it. I am not going to lose any sleep over it. Life is too short to be mad all the time, okay? So I'm not going to be pissed off over shit I can't control, and I'm also not going to be pissed off over something silly like that. especially when it looks good. Why would it be mad? Cassandra here says, I remember that's so gross, but I would play with them. Are you referring to the ashtrays in the elevator, Cassandra? I'm very curious. I'm very, very curious.
I would hope that's what she was referring to, because I was thinking it was something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Disney guy here says, have you fellas talked about Avengers expansion not being part of the 1.9 Disneyland Forward expansion? Have we talked about that, George? I thought we did a while back.
Have you fellas talked about Avengers expansion?
Because it makes sense that it wouldn't be, because
I think we talked about it like it was in part of like another conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but it makes sense that it wouldn't be, because the R&D for this Avengers ride has been going on since before the pandemic.
I hope that they don't include it. Like, I hope that they didn't like kind of play it off and hold off on it so it would be part of it. Especially also adding Stark Flight Lab, which was not part of the original. Unless maybe it goes half and half. Maybe Infinity Defense is not part of the 1.9, but Stark Flight Lab is. Yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, but yeah, we have covered the Avengers expansion a lot, and Disneyland Forward as well. But and the great thing about this is, I think, and George, we talked about on the phone, where after the new year, going into January, we're going to have a lot to talk about, because they're going to be breaking ground on a lot of these projects, not just out here in California, but also in Florida, stuff like that. So stay tuned to OG55, because we're going to cover all that stuff. We're going to have like a billion videos a week.
And especially with me being out here now, being like a local and everything, that I could hit the parks more often if there's anything to be kind of reviewed or recorded, either for like the regular channel or for members only. Right. It'll be much more easier for me to kind of get to. Because
you're on the West Coast now?
Yep.
Hi, Monster on the beat, ho.
There we go. Brian here says, thanks for the detailed response, boys. This is why I watch and support the channel, honest, and try to keep the bias out of it. Thank you so much, Brian. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. Really nice of you. Mr. James, where are you, James? Oh, there he is. Okay. James here says, could you see Universal make a Wicked theme attraction, since part one of 2 is doing really well? Yeah, I can see it. I've heard nothing but good things about Wicked. It's performing really, really well at the box office. I could see Disney doing like a Wicked attraction, maybe not out here in California. I mean,
Universal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Universal. Sorry. I can see Universal doing one in Florida. I think the chances in Florida are higher, but absolutely. The movie's doing well, and it was well received, so why wouldn't they?
I would like to see not even just an attraction. I would love to see even like an Oz kind of land in the format of Wicked, because I've mentioned so many times, excuse me, The Wizard of Oz is a very beloved classic film, but redos like Return of Oz, even though I enjoy Return of Oz, it's like a cult classic in its own right, but it didn't do so well at the box office. Oz the Great and Powerful, but Wicked definitely hit all those notes, no pun intended, that it definitely could sustain in a Universal park for sure.
100%. T.S. Wade liked it. He said, I saw Wicked Part 1 last night. It's a cinematic masterpiece. Anthony Alvarez here says, I could see an expansion at Epic Universe for Wicked. I can see that too. I think that'd be actually pretty cool. Wicked has a lot of aesthetics that Universal could play with in a cool way in a theme park. Like that cool, I didn't see the movie, but what that cool, they had like that really cool looking train in that movie. Mm-hmm. I saw in the trailer. It's almost like it almost looks like something like out of the 1940s, like that retro future from the 40s or something. It looks great, but like there's a lot there that Universal can play with, and I think they should. Absolutely.
Or what if they did something like the Wizarding World, where they actually split the lands up into both 2 different parks? Not to kind of give a spoiler, but Shiz, the kind of like the college that everybody goes to, was separate from the Emerald City, and that's where Elphaba and Glinda boarded the train from Shiz to the Emerald City. So maybe you could do like an Emerald City in one park, Shiz in the other, and then have the trains. It's sort of kind of like how they do with the Hogwarts Express.
Isn't that what the kids are calling a game? Like you're gonna like you walk up to a girl, you shiz her. No, Riz. I'm sorry, it's Riz. You Riz. Yeah. Okay, I'm off a little bit. That's okay. Jay Brad here says it's quite odd that both Disney and Universal could theoretically make competing lands based around Oz. That is very interesting. They theoretically could, except Disney's version of Oz didn't do so hot. So, yeah, theoretically they could, but Disney will never dip into that. There's no way. Albert Rodriguez here says, as someone who has never experienced Back to the Future the ride, do you ever see it coming back to the park when the Simpsons leave? You know what, Albert?
I would love to see that.
Oh my! From your lips to God's ears, I hope that's what happens. Or even if you just made even if you got rid of Springfield and you made an all new Back to the Future ride, Universal has come a long way, Albert. Like Universal makes an incredible product right now. Comcast has done a really, really good job with Universal, right? So we're seeing a lot of cool stuff with like Dark Universe. They're leaning into their own IP over there, right? Obviously, they've done some great stuff even with Harry Potter. Universal knows what they're doing. If you take a franchise like Back to the Future and you take what Universal has learned over the past, say, 20, 25 years, really, since Islands of Adventure, can you imagine what kind of attraction they could make for Back to the Future? I wouldn't bring back the old ride, Albert. I would have Universal Imagineer a new experience for Back to the Future. That is such an amazing trilogy, and man, the potential for that is like through the roof. And we still have Michael J. Fox with us. We still have Christopher Lloyd. Like, do it when we still have the cast around. Universal, if you ever watch this, you probably won't, but I would jump on that. I think that would be huge and very popular with fans. What say you, George?
Well, and actually, it's very funny that you and I were just having this conversation while we were at Universal today. When I asked you, when you look at the Simpsons area, just speaking of Universal Hollywood, it's not a whole lot of room because it's kind of like a mini land that they took because Back to the Future was an independent ride. It was just a ride that was there. It wasn't based on a land encompassed of Back to the Future. So that's when I asked you and I said, sooner or later, they're probably going to remove the Simpsons. The license deal, it ends in 2026. Universal's probably not going to want to have to pay, residuals to Disney every time that they sell anything of the Simpsons. So, I mean, and that's when I asked you, like, what do you think that they would put in here? Because the area is too small for an actual land. So it'd probably be best to put just an individual ride. And actually, I think the answer was in the question. Why not go back to the roots? Go back to the future, no pun intended, and put in Back to the Future, but in a new technological advancement. Yeah. The Comcast version of that IP, I think would be really, really cool. We got some great comments here actually about this topic. We might have to do a whole video on this because a lot of people are interested in this topic. But Trey here says physical sets and screens would be amazing for Back to the Future. And Dr. Starlander says Back to the Future ride, but using a ride system like Radiator Springs Racers, dark ride plus high speed. Again, fantastic ideas from both Starlander and Trey. I absolutely love these. This is what they should do. This is absolutely what they should do. And then you can have the tagline, roads where we're going, we don't need roads. Jay Brad here says, I like to see them take out Springfield and not only put Back to the Future, but also Ghostbusters. Yeah, and I know our boy Slimer would love that. Yeah, absolutely. We got Ian Grimm in the house. Ian, what is going on, sir? Back to the Future was originally going to be a coaster over where Super Silly Funland is now. It's interesting. I wonder if now this is me speculating. I have no knowledge of this. I didn't even know this until you said it. But Ian, if you know the answer, I mean, is that what the Fast and Furious coaster is now? Was that concept earmarked originally for Back to the Future, or are those two separate ideas? I'm very curious as to what. And either way, they should really take out the Super Silly Funland. Like that area is a joke. I know that it's for the younger kids to get wet and everything, but I don't know.
Yeah,
there's other ways to get wet. Yeah,
it's really not. It's not a great area. It's cheap looking. Last time I was there, it was pretty faded. I don't know. A bowl. I will say this though: the grilled cheese at the Minions Cafe is chef's kiss, beautiful, amazing. But that's about it. The rest of it can go. Mr. Webba, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here, says Universal's classic IPs were all fantastic, and I'm glad to see them slowly bringing them back into focus. Some of the newer stuff Universal has been putting out has been mid at most. I would agree. And then
you know what I just realized? What we forgot to do today, being at Universal, we forgot to get the damn pie.
The Wizarding World pie, the apple pie, yes. Which is absolutely incredible. I love that pie. God dang it. Well, yeah, and you went with Abby and they didn't have it, right?
No, they ran out of it.
Come on.
How the hell do you run out of apple pie?
I mean, it's that good, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's that good. Mr. Webber here says, however, I would love to see a Wizard of Oz or Wicked Land. The movie made the train and city, the school look really fantastical, like Harry Potter. I was just saying that, Mr. Webber. Completely agree with you, brother. That would be amazing. And Mr. Webber, I hope you feel better. I was actually just on the phone with this guy, and he's pretty sick. So, Mr. Webber, get your rest, brother. Feel good. We need you healthy, Spider-Man. We need you healthy.
Like I said, I even told him, I said, you sound like hell. Yeah. And to be sick on top of it, like that's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. Sick on top of it, exactly. Drink some bone broth, brother. I'm telling you, dude, I swear by that stuff. Bone broth will knock anything out. It will knock it out.
Too.
Elderberry, yes, that as well. Absolutely. Or a hot toddy. You ever heard of a hot toddy?
Yeah, hot toddies, they'll knock you out, man, but they'll clear up anything.
Hot toddy for your body, you know? Albert Pola here says, hot toddy for your body. Albert Pola here says, I highly recommend y'all go to Universal Hollywood's Fan Fest being held this spring. Back to the Future is one of the IPs that'll be featured at the event. I've heard that, and that is very, very tempting. Very tempting. See, George, look at this party animal. George will be everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Dr. Starlander, I'll be at Universal Studios December 30th, first time in 35 years. Looking forward to seeing it all. Interesting.
You just miss us. We're going December 31st for the Eve event.
Yeah. Can you come on New Year's, Dr. Starlander? We can have like a little mini OG55 meetup. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be pretty awesome. Mr. Webba says, thank you, brothers. Mr. Webba, we love you, sir. We absolutely love you. We got a super chat from Mr. Ian Grimm, $5 super chat. Ian, thank you so much. Also, just got back from Disneyland. Was on the lookout for OG, George, and Abby, but they were at Universal. And congrats on the move, George. Yes, George and I. Actually, it was just George and I today. We were at Universal, and it was fun. We were there for. This guy calls me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to meet me at Universal?" Sure, I'll be there. We go, and we went on the tram tour, which was awesome, as always.
Tram was awesome.
Yeah, and then we went on Kung Fu Panda.
Flight of the Hippogriff.
And Fly the Hippogriff. Yeah.
And then lunch at Krusty Burger.
I got this big, giant freaking hot dog with the chili on. Oh, God, it's so good. I just love it.
But now tell us about what you had for lunch.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. But yeah, it was a good time. Universal's a fun place, man. A really, really fun place. But boy, was it crowded today. I mean, Universal is packing them in, dude, like super, super busy. Was your cheese bouncy, George?
The cheese was not bouncy. It seems like the cheese only bounced down at Jurassic World. I'm telling you, the burger was good at Jurassic, but that cheese, man, that cheese is probably still sitting in me.
Oh, it probably is. That cheese has some bounce to the ounce, huh, George?
Yeah.
Some bounce to the ounce. Cassandra here says, George, can you rank your visits of the park during Christmas time and favorite food or dessert you ate? Cassandra, we're actually going to have a big holiday show very soon. But George, give a little sneak peek if you'd like about your.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll save the details for the show, but I will rank them. For me, it was. Now, and I'm not just saying this because I'm biased, and again, I'll get into the details on the show.
So what you're saying is you're biased. Okay, I get it.
But yeah, okay, yes. Disneyland, Knott's, and Universal.
Okay. I mean,
And
I think
then-
that's everyone's list probably, or very
And then
close.
as far as favorite food or dessert, Abby and I did do the sip and stroll for the Festival of the Holidays over at DCA. Some of those foods were actually much better than the actual food that they have in the parks on a regular basis, to be honest with you. But I'll get into that in detail for the holiday show, because I'm going to try to get Abby on with us, since she was part of it as well, to have that discussion.
Yep, absolutely. Brian with a $2.79 super chat. Thank you so much, Brian. We appreciate you, sir. Is it possible to bring Star Wars back to the glory days? Yes. Okay, here's the thing, Brian. I kind of mentioned this in a video recently. I don't know if you saw it, but if you take Disney as an example, right? There was a time period at Disney where Disney animation in particular was really an irrelevant kind of thing. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, it wasn't Disney's animation that was really getting the kids excited. It was like Transformers, He-Man, freaking Smurfs, Care Bears, My Little Pony, right? Disney was kind of culturally irrelevant at the early 80s, okay? So what I would call a sleeping giant, essentially. Now, the minute Disney started to make content that people loved, people fell back in love with Disney, right? They've always loved Disney, but they just wanted the right content. And when Disney provided that content through things like DuckTales, Little Mermaid, even Roger Rabbit, they went back to the theaters and they tuned in to Disney stuff, right? I feel like Star Wars is the same thing. I think people love Star Wars, and people will always love Star Wars. I just think right now the Lucasfilm is going through a rough patch with leadership. I think Kathleen Kennedy needs to get the fuck out of there. You know what I'm saying? She needs to get out of there. And we need someone new in there, a fresh perspective. And I think if you can do that and you can make content that hits and gets people excited, I think you're fine. Star Wars isn't dead. It's a sleeping giant like Disney was in the early 80s. And it's been proven to be the case because when Mando came out, it was a cultural phenom. It was a cultural phenomenon, right? When Mandalorian came out. It shows you if you drop the right stuff, the right content, the fans and the normies will come in droves. So people love Star Wars. It's not dead. It is savable. They just need new management, fresh perspective, and get people excited about the product again. And I think if they do that, I think we're good. George, what about you? Can we save Star Wars?
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, anything is redeemable as long as you have the right leadership and a good direction of, how to handle those kind of IPs, because Star Wars is timeless. No matter if you're 10, 50, 80, anyone can find something in the Star Wars universe or the films or the TV series, something that they can find adventurous, something that they can relate to. And I feel like, it starts and stops with Kathleen Kennedy. Nothing can compel me otherwise to say that she is the biggest problem as to why Lucasfilm cannot get off the ground, no pun intended. But it's just like nothing against her personally, but I just feel like her running the joint, it's not working.
Yeah. Cassandra here says, need Webba to sound off on Star Wars. We do. Webba, when you feel better, bro, you need to film like a Star Wars rant, and we'll drop it for the members or something, because those Star Wars rants are epic, dude. Absolutely epic. And Webba, speaking of Webba, he continues, I'd like to sip your stroll Italiano. Uh-oh. Abby, Mr. Steal Your Man over here, Webba, coming in to take your man. Oh, by the way, since we are talking about Star Wars,
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
And the reason I'm playing that is to the late, great James Earl Jones, who we miss dearly. Absolute legend, icon, and just a giant, not only just for Star Wars, but just in Hollywood. And, he did change the world in a lot of ways. I mean, through pop culture, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. James Earl Jones.
And I've heard that in the very beginning of Mufasa, they're going to pay tribute to him. I don't know how, but I didn't read on it afterwards once the movie is released, but I'm very curious to see how they honor James Earl Jones.
Good, and I'm glad. I'm absolutely glad. They should do that. Brian here says Mando and Grogu movie is going to be interesting. I agree. I have faith in that one just because I do like Filoni and I love Jon Favreau.
Plus, we got a little taste of it at D23, and it definitely looks quintessential Star Wars.
It does. It does. Yeah, he is. Yeah, Mr. Steele, your man. I'm telling you, Abby, you better watch out. Webb is coming. He's coming for your boy. Mr. Webba here says, haha, that would be hilarious. I'm glad you guys like my rants. I just love Star Wars, and it makes me mad, these decisions. Yeah, Webba, that's the thing. I love your passion. We all love your passion. And rant about it. Like we could do a whole Star Wars show. And we'll go back and forth on it, brother. Like, I'm the same way as you. I love Star Wars. But you know what? I've pulled back in recent years. I'm not caring as much. I haven't seen Skeleton Crew yet. I haven't watched a single episode yet. It's on my list. No, I haven't even seen The Acolyte yet, okay? And I'm a huge Star Wars guy. And people call me a pixie duster. And I haven't even seen these things yet. You know what I'm saying? But in all seriousness, though, that's how far I've fallen personally as a Star Wars fan. Like, I'm not even really invested enough to watch the new stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? If they're losing me, they're losing the normies, So 100%. 100%. Dr. Starlander here says we rant about the things we love. We absolutely do. We absolutely do. That's why we rant so much here on the channel about cake, because we love cake. And J-Rad here says you're going to love Skeleton Crew. It was very good. Okay, that's interesting. I'm very curious. We're going to have a video tomorrow with you, J-Rad. I might have to pick your brain on that a little bit. I'm very, very curious about that. James Georgie here says, what do you think Disney should do with the building that held Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser? Bulldoze it. It's an ugly building. It was made for that experience. I don't want to repurpose it so it looks like a Spirit of Halloween thing. Just bulldoze it. Use the land, yeah, but don't reuse the building. In my opinion, if it was created for that experience, for that Starcruiser experience, it's always going to feel weird to kind of repurpose that thing. It wasn't designed to be a regular hotel, so anything you do with it is going to feel like you're repurposing it. So, what about you, George? What do you think, brother?
Yeah, for me, I'd say burn it, piss on the ashes, bulldoze the remains, and do something really cool and exciting. Maybe even expand out Galaxy's Edge, or maybe add a whole nother section to Hollywood Studios. I feel like Hollywood Studios needs to have a little bit more breathing room when it comes to a theme park. Out of all four of the parks at Walt Disney World, Hollywood Studios is the smallest, and it seems like it's so crammed.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody, a lot of great conversation today. The cool thing about today's live, George, was that we got a lot of park questions, but we got a lot of studio stuff too.
Yeah, we did.
We got some Star Wars stuff, some Wicked stuff. So, actually, hold on one sec. Chiena Abston, and I am so sorry if I am massacring your name. Please correct me in the comments if I did. I do apologize. But why was the Starcruiser even built? It was never going to be sustainable. From what I understand, Chiena, that was a Bob Chapek kind of pet project. He just, he thought it was a good idea. I mean, in theory, it kind of was. I kind of like this whole idea of a galactic cruise line. I think that core idea is a good one, but the execution was terrible and the price points were way too expensive.
I don't know why. I
I'm so sorry. I do apologize. Go ahead, George.
You
were saying you don't know why.
I really honestly didn't have no faith in that project. Even from the very beginning. I don't know why. Just out of curiosity, is it Cheyenne? Is it pronounced like Cheyenne?
Yeah. Please let us know. I like to give the proper pronunciation for your name. Please, do what do they call that, phonetically or whatever? Yeah. Remy D here says, what do you guys think of that blue milk? It's okay. I mean, I think people go overboard with how bad it is. I don't think it's terrible, but I would much rather have honestly, I'd rather have the butterbeer at Universal.
Mm-hmm. I'd rather have a Dole Whip over the blue milk, but a butterbeer over a Dole Whip.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Albert here says, do you think Disney will ever get their heads out of their asses and retheme Galaxy's Edge around the OT like it should have been done from the start? What I think they might do, I don't think they're going to retheme it necessarily, but I think what they might do and what they should do is keep Batu. That's fine, because Batu can technically be any timeline, right? It's a planet in the Star Wars universe, and just make experiences in there that pertain to the various eras of Star Wars. Star Wars is a generational thing, you know, Albert, and like so, like I'm with you. Like my generation is more the original trilogy, you know, but there's a lot of kids who grew up on the prequels, like that was their thing, right? So, and then there's even younger people who their thing is like the Filoni animation and all that. So, like the land should celebrate Star Wars. So you should have a lot of OT in there. You should also have some prequel stuff in there, you know? And I'm fine with even having the sequel stuff, but it should represent generations of Star Wars. When they built that land and it took place in between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, that was a huge mistake.
Everything up.
Yeah.
As much as I like, here's the thing. I am okay with Galaxy's Edge. I love Rise of the Resistance, but everything else, honestly, I could just take Rise of the Resistance as an individual attraction. I feel like once they added Galaxy's Edge to what the expectation, what it was supposed to be, it completely botched the whole way Disney does Star Wars. I loved Star Wars weekends done at Hollywood Studios. I loved when they did Star Wars Day at Sea on the Disney Cruise Line.
Right.
And it just kind of like, it was just open to just everything Star Wars. Now, if you want to get anything good out of Star Wars, is you have to pay an upcharge for the Star Wars night event, because you're not getting it in Galaxy's Edge, because they're not going to give it to you in Galaxy's Edge, because Disney wants to capitalize on those event prices.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. Ian here says, which are you most excited for at Walt Disney World in 2025? Disney Starlight, Test Track 3.0, Spaceship Earth Bar, Pirates Bar, or the Villain Show? Out of all those, I'm going to go Disney Starlight, which is the nighttime parade. I think out of all those, that's my most exciting. What about you, George?
I agree. I think it is about time that Disney starts getting back into the nighttime parades. I definitely miss them, and I would love, and I'm glad it's a new nighttime parade, not just Disney's Electrical, which I do love, and Spectra Magic, which again I do love, but I'm glad to see something new. A close second for me would be Test Track 3.0.
There we go. There we go. Would you move Star Tours into Galaxy's Edge? Oh man, like 1,000% I would. Yes, I have OCD, so it bothers me that we have the Star Wars thing outside of the Star Wars land. That drives me absolutely crazy. Yeah, please put it in Galaxy's Edge, please. They should have done that. I don't know why they didn't. I mean, I guess I do know why. It's expensive, but either move it into Galaxy's Edge or get rid of it.
I have an even better idea. Leave Star Tours at Tomorrowland. Move Rise of the Resistance over into Tomorrowland. Completely take out Galaxy's Edge and put in Villains.
That's bold.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do that. I don't know. I kind of like the Star Wars land, but that's interesting, George. I never really thought about that, but you have the rock work and stuff.
Because you could still do great rock work for Villains. At least it would have an IP that would be able to get people over. Because honestly, for me, I basically use Galaxy's Edge as a walkway.
Well, and then you would have a bar. You would have Oga's Cantina, which you could turn into a villain's bar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a terrible idea. It really isn't.
Because
that's interesting.
Honestly, for me, I personally think the only reason why people even go into Galaxy's Edge is for Rise of the Resistance. So if you just take that single base attraction, move it over to Tomorrowland, it also helps out a little bit of the Tomorrowland issue. Then you'll have 2 Star Wars attractions in Tomorrowland. You keep the rock work, the transition from Frontierland, and move it into Villains, because essentially that's what's going to happen at Magic Kingdom anyway. Beyond Big Thunder is going to be Villains. Right.
Exactly. Interesting. Anthony Alvarez here. Can't wait for 90s night. I'm more excited for that after hours event. Yeah, we're going to be there. We're going to 90s night. I don't have any 90s. I wish I had a 90s drop. I got to get some goofy movie on here. But yeah, we will be at 90s night, 100%. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. Maleficent's castle would contrast well with Sleeping Beauty's castle. Yeah, it would. That's an interesting concept, George, that you brought to the table with that.
And now, Cassandra, I do agree with you. I don't like having the same things in the same parks. However, I would do a different variation of villains in Disneyland than I would for Magic Kingdom.
Interesting. Mr. Webba, what job, if you could pick, would you do in Universal or Disney? You know what, Webba, I'm not messing around, bro. I want CEO. I want to be the big dog. I want to be the big dog, and I want to make moves. So yeah, I'd pick CEO. What about you, George?
For Disney, okay, I actually have a 3-tier for Disney. Number one,
so you've thought about this, huh, George?
Oh yeah, very much so. I would be chairman of parks, and I'd kick Tomorrow's ass out because I could probably do so much better. Sorry, Tomorrow, but nothing against you, man. But you're probably a nice guy, but no.
He's got really good hair, I will say.
Yeah. Second, I would love to be a concept writer in WDI.
This is so specific. Oh my god.
And number 3, I would love to be a tour guide at Disneyland.
Cool. There you have it.
Then for Universal, I would want to be a tram tour tour guide. I guess that's what you would call them.
So when I become CEO, I'll make sure to hire you on, George.
Yeah, there you
go. Gamma Crusher here says Millennium Falcon being Star Tour 3.0 is a big mistake. That's interesting because I
agree. I agree. I think honestly, it's not going to give the potential for Mando and Grogu to be put in Smuggler's Run when you're going to be pressing buttons, hitting levers. You're not even going to be paying attention to what's on the screen anyway. I would love to just sit back, relax in Star Tours, and just watch Mando and Grogu on the screen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. If you were going to have the concept they're going for, there should have been another pod where you're in the gunner room.
Yes.
So you had like the one pod you get into, you're flying the Falcon, right? You're doing the maneuver and whatever. And then you go into another pod, you know, and you don't know which pod you're going to get. The other pod will be the gunner room, like you see in the movies, like so you can do either one. That would have been
like
dope.
Your inner Ebba.
The what? Yeah, my inner Ebba, exactly. Yeah. I'm channeling my inner Ebba. But yeah, that's what I would have done. But
also too, and I don't mean this in the wrong way, but if you happen to get 2 younger kids that are piloting the thing, you're not going to see anything. You're going to be banging into everything like nobody's business, and you're not going to be able to enjoy the experience. And I think that's what it is. It's not the fact that kids should have the opportunity to ride the Falcon, but also I think everybody should have the opportunity to enjoy a ride. And if you're waiting an hour and a half in line for something and you can't enjoy it right, I kind of got a little bit of that at Universal. I waited an hour and a half to get me and Abby's picture taken with the Grinch, and the damn crew member could not take not one photo of all 3 of us looking at the camera at the same time. We got 10 photos, and not each time Abby's looking away in one, I'm looking away in another. The Grinch is not looking down. It's like there was not one photo where all 3 of us were looking at the camera.
I know. He sent us these photos. He sent it to Eva and I. And literally there's 10 photos, like every imaginable position you could think of, and none of them, not one, where they were all facing the camera. It was like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Cassandra Chamberlain, I vote for Ebba to make all the Star Wars decisions. Okay, Cassandra, I completely agree with you. Ebba, when I'm CEO, you're the Star Wars guy. You're calling shots, bro. You make all the Star Wars decisions. George, would it be inspired by Halloween Town from Nightmare Before Christmas? I'm assuming this is your Batu
Yeah, I would actually have a part of it. I think would be kind of cool because then you can kind of deck it out for the holidays. I wouldn't have the whole entire thing, but maybe have like a section for Oogie Boogie. Yeah,
absolutely. Every time I hear Oogie Boogie, I think of that old Mac 10 song, "Gangsters Don't Dance, They Boogie." Backyard Boogie is a song. If you guys want to, if for you young folks, if you go on YouTube, Mac 10 Backyard Boogie. It's a great song. Cassandra Chamberlain, shame on those kids for riding rides at theme parks. I know.
Isn't that right, Cassandra? I mean, like it's Disney. Like, why is it always about the kids? Like,
yeah, exactly, absolutely. Everybody, fantastic live show today. Cassandra, Mr. Webba, Dr. Starlander, Seymour Duck, Brian, Shiana, did I get it right? Shiana. We have Ian Grimm, Remy D. Who else was in the chat today? Albert Rodriguez, Andrew Fernandez, just everybody who joined. Obviously, Abigail, Brian, James, Jay, Brad, Disney Guy, T.S. Wade. Thank y'all, Matthew Murr. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Close. See, I'm getting there. I'm such a white boy. That's my problem. You know what I'm saying? It's Brian Italiano, you're hired to give me a tour. Name your price. There you go, George.
Yep.
Name it.
Yeah, I'll come up with some prices and yeah, I can take you through all the God, this is gonna sound so bad. All the back doors.
There you go. All the back doors. George knows his back doors. Abby, you better watch out. Webb was coming for your boy. He's coming for your boy. George, where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. Wow. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Sticky. Thank you all so much for watching this live episode of OG55. George is going to be temporarily back in his home state of Pennsylvania very soon. So, but only temporarily. And then he's coming back here on the 29th to be with Abby. And so, yeah, there's going to be some transitional stuff, but more content is on the way. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. We're going to end it like we always end it with Asian Queen, and Queen is with 3 E's. Check her out on Instagram. She's awesome. Check her out. Here we go, everybody.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.
Hey.